Hey people, how are you doing? Darren Cornell here. I hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to do a short video to talk about something new that I've got in my studio. It's only a small thing, it's only a cheap thing, but it actually means quite a lot that it is here in my studio. It's quite important to who I am and what I do. Now, most of you who have already followed me for a while know the story of how I got into what I do. I used to be a financial advisor. Epilepsy made me stop work for 10 years. I needed a hobby, I needed something to do. I started painting, and that slowly led into me painting statues and action figures, and that's what I do for a living now. So it sort of took 20 years to get where I am now, but that was the story. I used to be a financial advisor. During those years when I was sat at home not working, before I did this, and I started doing landscape oil paintings and portraits and things like that before I went on to the action figures and statues. When I was at home, I was so bored. I needed a hobby, I needed something to do, and I started watching a TV program that was made by that guy, Bob Ross, and most people know who he is. He's become quite a cult figure, and his programs, he would do a different painting every week, and his programs were just so relaxing, they were so enjoyable. It would be half an hour and he would do a new painting each time, and they were just so lovely to watch. And his whole demeanor, the way he spoke, the way he acted, the way his whole philosophy of there's no things go wrong, everything's just a happy accident. If something happens, doesn't matter, just work with it, change it, it'll be fine. It was just a joy to watch, and I guess that's why they called his program The Joy of Painting. Anyway, I was watching his programs, and after 10 years of doing nothing, I was thinking, that looks really enjoyable. I was always good at art in school, maybe I should do that. And so I started. The very first thing that I did, and I didn't know how to do oil paintings. I'd never painted with oils. Anytime I did paintings in school, they were always just watercolors. Most of the stuff I did was drawing in school, but it had been 20 years or something before. It had been a long time since I'd done anything. So watching his paintings, I bought some canvas boards, and I bought some watercolor paints in a tube. So they weren't oils. I couldn't mix them the same way he did. They dried too quickly. They were terrible to work with, but I wanted to try painting. And the first one that I ever did was that. And I remember doing it, and I couldn't blend the sky because with the oils, you put it on, and the wet on wet technique, where you cover the whole thing with a, I forgot what it's called now, but it stays wet, so you can put the oil paint on, and the oil paints take ages to dry, so you can put colours on, and then you can spend ages blending it around and mixing it up, and you can get really lovely soft transitions. I couldn't do any of this because I was just squeezing watercolour paint out of tubes, putting them on, and they would dry instantly, so I couldn't do anything with them. But I tried my best, using brushes up here, brushes to do the tree shapes. I used a knife. He had like a proper artist palette knife, and I used, I don't know what I used. It was like a trowel or something, and tried to do some mountains. And at the end of it, I could see all the bits that were missing because I was using the wrong materials and everything. But I was like, you know what? That's my first painting, like ever, in that style. That's actually not bad. And other people said the same. So I did another one, and it built up until people were paying me to do portraits of family members. I got some really interesting big commissions of interesting pieces that people wanted. There was one that was angels floating over a moonlit seascape. So I did loads of commissions, but it never really took off enough to be a career. And thankfully, the interest in painting transitioned to the action figures and the statues that I do now, because I'd already I'd got the bug of wanting to paint, and I had an action figure and I didn't like it, so I resculpted the face and I repainted it. And that very first one, it's actually, I've got it over there, you can't see it, it's off camera, was the Anakin Skywalker one. And people had the same figure and they started to ask me if I could do the same thing for their figure. And that was how it started. And it all started because of him. If I hadn't been watching his programs, I wouldn't have painted that picture, and I wouldn't have gone on to painting an action figure, and I wouldn't be doing what I do now, which is making videos and painting commissions and teaching people how to paint online with tutorials, and I would be doing none of it. I would probably still be sat in the living room watching daytime telly, being annoyed that I couldn't work. So I have a lot to be thankful for to Bob Ross, because he gave me all of this. So the new thing that I was talking about in my studio is this little guy. Now, I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends who collect these things, the Funko Pop figures, like hundreds of them. They just buy every single one that comes out, and that's not my thing. I don't understand it, but they do, and they love it. When this thing came out, I was like, I have to have that. I need that Bob Ross figure. It's so cool. So he's got the big fluffy hair. He's got the little palette, which is exactly like the one he used to use. It's got all the colours on it. He's got his little paintbrush. And it's brilliant. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I need that. So I've got that. And that is my latest, best addition to my studio, because this guy got me painting, and I credit everything that I do today to this man who did those silly little quick landscape paintings, who just got me painting, and it's all thanks to him. So I'm very pleased that I have this in my studio. And what I'm going to do, I can stick it back on the shelf. I put blue tack under his feet so he doesn't fall over. What I'm going to do is make a miniature easel. If I go back to the desktop picture, so you see there he has the canvas on an easel stand. What I'm going to do, I think, is make a little miniature. I might use little pieces of wood or something. I'll find a way to do it. I'll make a little easel like that to go with the little Bob Ross figure there. And I think what I'm going to do, and it's probably excessive and more than I need to do, I'm going to do a miniature version of that, of the very first painting that I did, on a little miniature easel to stand behind him to look like he's painting it. And I think that'll be quite a cool thing to have in my studio, because it's just, it feels like that's where it came from, him and that first painting. So to have a little figure of him and a little mini easel next to him. Which way round is this? Probably there, just behind him. Of that painting that I did, and the figure of him. It just feels like, you know what, that should be in the studio where I work now. So yeah, that's my latest addition to the studio. To go with all my other collectible nonsense, that is quite an important one, and I'm very, very happy that I have it here now. Okay, I'm going now. That was it. Have a good day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon, and look after each other, look after everyone else, be nice, help an old lady cross the road, do something good for the planet. I'll see you soon. Take care.